when it comes down to with Piccolo, I know that to be one of the first characters that were, well, evil, but then over time sort of manipulated into a character that was good, or at least a anti-hero of sorts. How was it emotionally dealing with transferring from the one role to all the way through to the next?
最初はファンレター、アンチファンレターが多くて厳しかったんですけれど、ご飯の修行をつけるあたりから、ファンレターがたくさん、いいファンレターがたくさん来るようになっていきました。それで、ディランですか、悪役から悪役でないキャラクターのその幅を演じるように気をつけました。その幅がたくさん出れば出るほどキャラクターが魅力的になると思います。
Well, initially, I was receiving a lot of anti-fan letters as Piccolo, and those were tough times. But around the time when Piccolo starts training Gohan, I started to receive a lot of good fan letters, and that's when it started becoming rewarding. So as a character that starts off with a villain and then turning into a non-villain, you get to do a lot of breadth to the character, and that's something that I really enjoyed, and that's something I really could put my efforts into and give life to the character.
Hi. I've been watching Dragon Ball Z since I was a little kid, but there was actually one moment in the Dragon Ball Z history that actually, I don't know, for me it caused me a shockwave. But how did you guys all feel about the relationship between Vegeta and Bulma?
Whoa!
He said
None of us wants the answer. No, I'll respect you go. You go.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think it's double awesome.
Oh, she had it on everybody. Nothing. What? I think it's awesome too. Awesome.
ヤムチャをやっていた古谷徹さんは非常に激怒してですね、原作の鳥山明先生のところに電話したそうです。どうして僕とじゃなくてベジータなのかブルマはというようなクレームの電話したそうです。
Apparently, Toru Furuya, the voice actor who plays Yamcha, was very upset. He made a phone call to the manga artist, Akira Toriyama, and he asked him, why not Yamcha, why Vegeta? And this is a true story.
This is a question for Mr. Furukawa. What was Akira Toriyama's role with relation to voice actors or the production of Dragon Ball Z the anime?
アニメのドラゴンボール Z の制作では鳥山様のような役割がありました。
僕たち声優はほとんどお会いしたこともなかったのですが、スクリプトのチェックは大変厳しい方だというふうに伺っております。
We voice actors almost never met Akira Toriyama, but I heard that he was very meticulous about checking the script, and he was very strict about that.
Alright, I'm gonna make you huh?
We have a mic over there too, so you can.
Oh, awesome. I think we need to like head that way, back here. Which one? So let's go right there with the hat. You're wearing a yellow bracelet?
I was pointing to him in front of
How you doing? I've been watching Dragon Ball Z since like I was like in elementary school.
We're not old enough for that to be true, but okay.
I've watched all kinds of versions. I watched the Japanese, the English, which is particularly my favorite. However, how do y'all feel about Dragon Ball Z Kai?
I really wish they would have licensed past episode 99. That's exactly how I would love, please fans, please you guys can work amazing things when you want to. I would give anything for the opportunity to go back this much later in my career with all of the training and experience I have today. I would kill for the chance to go back and relive Goten now. Because I think he would take on a whole new everything. So I love Dragon Ball Z Kai because anything that keeps Dragon Ball Z going for life is awesome. And I just think I think anytime you get to revisit something that we all grew up with, I think it's awesome.
What she said. You know, what's funny about Kai, first of all, I can tell you don't like Kai, right?
Yeah,
Right,
you
I
didn't
can't
hear
stand
it.
No, I can't, because you said, what do you think about DBZ? Kai. Kai, like, you didn't like it. I don't know, like, very often, things that you see as a child growing up, that becomes gospel. And then that becomes ingrained in your mind, and nothing else will match it. And then if you see the episodes, maybe, you know, tomorrow, you might see they're a little flawed, and not as good as you remembered in certain areas, but better in some others, but they're part of your childhood, and therefore you're a hardcore fan of the original. And I understand it completely. I'm just like that with other shows, and actually Z too. But from an acting standpoint, it's everything that Kara just said. I liked coming back and working on Kai only because I know the character better. I think the writing is tighter. I think the acting, all of us, many of us were brand new in '98 when we started.
It was our first job.
First job. And so now to come back and revisit it, as an actor, I'm enjoying, or I enjoyed working on it. So, you know.
Yeah.
僕たちは同窓会のような感じで声優たちがまた年月を経てから集まったわけですけれども、それをピッコロの声で感想を一言だけ言ってみましょう。
Well, for us Japanese cast members, it was like a grand reunion going back after so many years. So let me say how it was like in the voice of Piccolo.
ドラゴンボールのキャラクターたち、お前たちと過ごした1年間、悪くなかったぜ。魔漢光殺法
That was you Dragon Ball characters. The 1 year that I spent with you was not that bad.
That was such a fangirl moment for me. Let's come back up here, right here. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to say to all three of you, you are all epic. Dragon Ball Z was awesome. And I've ever since I saw the Dragon Ball series, there's always been one thing I had to ask Piccolo. How did it feel to get your butt whooped by such a tiny kid?
よくナレーションをやっている山見ジョージさんっていう先輩の声優さんがいらっしゃるんですが、ピッコロがご飯を鍛える時にですね、本気でお前はいじめるなというふうに公私混同してキャラクターと現実を一緒にしてですね、よく叱られました。ですから僕がご飯にやっつけられるとその方は喜んでいましたね。僕の名前は古川と言いますが、それがフルパワーという意味を兼ねていて、フルパワーで全力でお前は子供をいじめるんじゃないとこんな感じで言われてました。
Well, the narrator of Dragon Ball is a senpai voice actor of mine. His name is Joji Yanami, and when my character is training Gohan, he tells me, do not mistake his training as a revenge onto him, and then do not be so hard on him, and told him not to mistake real life and the character. And the name Furukawa sounds very similar to full power, especially in Japanese. So in the narrator's voice, Yanami would say Furukawa is at full power.
ですから小さな子供にやられてもその先輩から怒られなくなるので嬉しかったです。
But it was nice because in character I could be harsh on a little kid in return, and I would not be scolded. So.
Let's go right here.
Going back to Dragon Ball Z Kai, I know you guys like it, but what prompted the change in voice actors? Like, for example, Frieza's not the same.
You know what, I think a lot of it just had to do with logistics. This is quite a bit of time later, and so, some of the actors aren't available or they're doing other stuff, and I think it literally just came down to timing, needing to get this stuff out, and who's in town and who's out of town, and it was nothing at all that was personal or anything like that. It literally just was logistics.
Yeah, and here's some trivia about the dub. The original Frieza from Dragon Ball Z English dub, I was Tien in the beginning, and then John Bergmeyer became Tien Shinhan. Do you know that the original Frieza was John Bergmeyer's actual mother?
Yes.
As you were. More exciting trivia to come.
Alright. Do you still have your question? I told you you were next. Right down here.
Hi, first off I want to say, really big fan actually of both the English and the Japanese dub. Originals, not the Kai. Anyway, this is for all three of you. What was your favorite part of the series as playing your characters? And also, if you could, what was your least favorite, what was your most favorite, and then could you do your favorite line of your character, one of your characters, if that was okay, if it's okay?
I have two characters, so I'm going to talk about two scenes. My favorite Videl scene was actually when she fought Spopovich. And it was because I think it was the first time, keep in mind this was my first job. Like I learned how to be a voice actor on Dragon Ball Z. And that was the first time where I think that true acting came into play, because it was this, I actually was voicing this as I was seeing it for the first time, because dubbing is a little different now than it was back then. And so I was seeing it all for the first time, and I'm reacting to this picture, and there was this part where he's squashing her head, and he's stepping on her head, and I'm, and I'm screaming, and then there's this little tear that happens, and when I finished the scene, I realized I had started crying. And so there's this long silence in the room, and everybody's looking, and I'm like, and I lose it, and I'm like, that's when I realized, like, this is acting. And my favorite Goten scene, gosh, there's so many, but hands down, I think it was the scene where they need to relieve themselves, and they have to. They relieve themselves, and I remember asking, I'm not sure what a 7-year-old boy sounds like when they're doing that. I'm a girl, and so there's this scene, and he's going, he decides to spell his name, and so he's like, G, O, T, and then he keeps going, yeah, that made me laugh. Least favorite scenes? I think anything that involved having a ghost in prison in 3. That stuff.
Let's see. My favorite scene was the one where a bad guy was on one mountaintop and a good guy was in another one. And then there was some exchanges, some angered exchange, yelling back and forth for 7, 8 episodes. And then, and then one of them did something they could have done in episode 1. That was my favorite part. It's also my least favorite scene. And my favorite line was, that's my favorite line.
一番好きなシーンはやはりご飯をたまって死ぬ時に、ご飯に対して「お前だけが自分のことを相手にしてくれた」と言って、感謝の気持ちで「お前と過ごした1年間悪くなかったぜ」という、先ほどちょっとやりましたが「ご飯お前と過ごした1年間悪くなかったぜ」って死ぬところそのシーンが好きですね。
Well, my favorite scene is the part where Piccolo dies saving Gohan, and then he says to Gohan, "The year that I spent with you wasn't that bad," and that's exactly what I just paraphrased on the Dragon Ball Kai question.
そうですね。嫌いなシーンってあまりないですが。体に穴が開いてこうやっつけられてあの瞬間非常に叫ぶわけですけどその苦痛のシーンが大変でしたしあのシーンはちょっと辛かったです。
And there aren't too many least favorite scenes for me, but when Piccolo gets a big hole in the middle of his body and he has to scream in agony, that was a difficult scene to perform, and so that was a tough scene for me.
体に穴を開けられて死ぬ役が最近ドラゴンボールのそのピッコロだけではなくてワンピースのエースでもありましたので体に穴が開くという死に方はとても辛いですね。
And recently for me it's not just Piccolo but another character such as Ice in One Piece. That's another character that gets a big hole in his body. So it's not exactly my favorite death scene for my characters these days.
Just one more little bit. My poor little friend here is too shy to speak, so she's got a little paper for Mr. Furukawa.
Marty, if we don't make it out alive, I want you to know I love you.
I can hardly understand English. Mary, if we don't make it out alive, I want you to know I love you.
Let's go to the very back in the flag. Yeah.
This question is for Chris. This may be kind of an awkward question.
Boxer briefs.
No, it's a little worse than that.
All right.
So I find the depiction or the drawing of Mr. Popo to be a little racially insensitive, and that
Now, there are